Hello and welcome to the Power Pod. I'm your host, Matthew Cohen, and today I have the pleasure of speaking with none other than Rob Hersov. Rob, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
Pleasure, Matthew. And it may be a pleasure for you, but might not be for all your viewers. Let's see. I like to show it like it is.
Well, I think that's why everybody wants to get a piece of Rob Hersov. That's why everybody wants to talk to you, because we've got enough filtered opinions out there. So let's just say I've been looking forward to this conversation. And it seems like we've got a lot we can talk about. I mean, right now, just for everybody to get the full context, it's the 3rd of June. So we've got a heck of a lot going on. Of course, there's the domestic South African political developments. There's the Iran war. Ukraine and Russia is still going on for all of those people who might not remember. And I'd like for us to start locally. And I'd specifically like to ask you about somebody who you've actually interviewed quite a few times on Truth Report, Rob, who is Prince Mashele. So a little while ago, we heard him talk about a new political party that was going to be formed. He didn't quite say whether or not he's leading it or maybe he's just involved in it, but he did explain that it's something that's going to be formed after the municipal elections for the 2029 general election. And so I'd actually love to get your opinion on him and this prospective party, Rob, because on one hand, you get the people who'll say there are too many political parties in South Africa. But then on the other hand, they'll say, well, there are all of these parties, but they're not enough that actually represent me. So what are your thoughts?
Well, there are more than enough options out there. If you look to the left, the loony left, you've got the ANC, and then you've got, I don't know if they're left wing or just completely racist and deranged and corrupt to the core, MK and EFF. So there's options on the left. Let's call that the left. And then center right, you've got more than enough options already today as sort of, let's call them meaningful parties. I mean, there's the DA, Freedom Front Plus, IFP, Patriotic Alliance, ACDP, Action SA. Am I missing anyone? That's kind of,
I think those are the big ones, really.
And then you've got the waste of time parties like, Rise Mzansi, Bosa. I mean, I love Musi, and I think Zibi's a bit of an anti-Semite lefty, a complete waste of money. But I like Musi, and but I think those parties, and then Bantu Holomisa, he's a cool dude. I really like him a lot. But I mean, those parties are sort of scratching the surface at less than 1%. What's the point?
Sure.
We have enough options out there. And then I think, on the municipal register, there are 600 parties. Ridiculous. I think, the Electoral Commission should come up with a law that says unless you get to, pick a number, 1% of the voter population, bye-bye, you're toast. I think, because otherwise it's just ridiculous. So there are more than enough options out there. I disagree with gogos or people who are disillusioned with the ANC saying, well, we don't know, we're not voting because we don't know where to go. There are no options. That's nonsense. If you want to be a deranged lunatic with mental health issues, you go to MK and EFF. And, if you want sensible Judeo-Christian rule of law, capitalist libertarian, what I call center right or right, there are 6 great options, whether it's the populist PA or the very kind of local IFP. There are great options out there. Or the Gauteng, Joburg, capitalist Action SA. My description. You can tackle me on all my descriptions. Happy to do it. I mean, there's more than enough.
No, that's fair.
So let's talk about Prince Mashele. Prince is a friend of mine. I dig him. I think he tells it like it is. He's fearless. He's highly intelligent. He's incredibly well read. Every time I see him, and I saw him this week, he tells me about the new book he's reading. I mean, he is prolific. He devours books. And I get some fantastic suggestions from him. Every time I see him or speak to him, which is probably every 2 weeks, he's reading a new book. I mean, he's so well read and so self-educated. What an extraordinary human being. However, setting up another new political party, you've got to say, where does it fit? Why isn't he joining a party that already exists? Why do something new? Where does it fit in the panoply of what's already out there? So his concept, from what I can understand, and I'm either not going to tell you everything I know, or I'm going to, read between the lines of what he's told me. I won't tell you which one it is.
Go for it.
is he believes that there's an important role for a new political party, a movement that becomes a political party made up of extraordinary people. And the extraordinary people all should be people who have been successes in their fields, recognized successes, with undergraduate degrees, i.e. educated. So skills, ability, track record, education.
Sure.
Black, white, colored, Indian, whatever, male, female, a real mix of talented, extraordinary South Africans is how I look at it. And
yes,
people where you go, wow, that guy would be extraordinary. And I'm going to make up names now, okay? I'm going to throw them out there because I don't know who his collection of people are. But, Bonsai Shongwe,
sure.
Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, Theo Diacha, where everyone goes, I may not agree with everything that person says, but they're accomplished, intelligent, decent, and broadly centrist or center-right. And to tackle and to have never been in politics before, okay? And if you look at, you remember between Mbeki, there was I've forgotten his name.
Oh, I know exactly who you're talking about. Motlanthe.
South Africa, no one remembers his name. No one even remembers he existed.
Yeah, that Motlanthe. He was in for like a year or something, right?
Bingo. Okay, sorry, Mr. Motlanthe.
It took me a moment as well.
Yeah, and Motlanthe was in charge as a caretaker president. Okay, a caretaker president is not a bad option for South Africa. And I want to get to the two options from December 2027, the ANC gangster elective conference, to 2029. Okay, there are two options there. We can talk about that in a minute. The one option is a caretaker government. The other is the doomsday scenario of Paul Mashele becoming top dog with Fikile Mbalula second dog. And they then do a deal with EFF MK, okay? Because they realize they've got 2 more years to break and steal. And the EFF and MK say, okay, we're going to be really nice. We want to get into government. We want to break and steal along with you. And in they come, doomsday scenario. But the caretaker government is the best solution for South Africa because in that case, you have all political parties, an independent president, a Motlanthe or a Bonsai Shongwe or Prince Mashele, that then appoints the best people in each role, ministerial role. And it's really it's not even a GNU. It's like a representation of 100% of South Africans. And it's not by voter percentage. And so what Prince is pitching is the kind of absolute ideal scenario for South Africa. But how does he get from here to there? He has to set up a political party. He has to raise R1 billion. He has to compete, not just take away voters from the DA or the IFP, but he has to compete in, the townships, in the rural areas, in the homeless, hopeless areas. And he needs R1 billion to do that. So how does he get from where he is today to there? He knows, I don't know. But I think he is a very, very compelling, interesting animal for the political scenario in South Africa. A lot of people are saying to him, you should join the DA, you should lead Action SA, whatever.
Right.
I think that's not what he should do. I think if he is going to launch a political party made up of extraordinary people, that is a party that deserves to see the light of day. So that's as much as I understand today.
Yeah, I actually do tend to agree with you on that, because if he was to join, let's say, a DA or Action SA, he's not actually going to be able to shift the way things are currently set up. It's still going to be the exact same sort of uh, political landscape. Just okay, you've got Prince Mashele instead of somebody else. So I actually do agree with you on that point. And also, there's one area where I slightly disagree with you, and you're welcome to counter me
Pushback.
on this if you'd like. Sure, just a bit of friendly jousting. But yeah, basically, I actually think that even though there is this plethora of options, I consider it to be a plethora of lousy options, because ultimately I'm happy to accept and give credit to the different parties where they deserve it. You know, like DA has a fairly good track record in a lot of respects. Freedom Front Plus has been in a lot of coalitions with them, as of the IFP, particularly in KZN and ACDP, and all different parties, even Action SA for a time. So I'm always happy to give people credit. But I don't know, Rob. When I look at the politicians that we have, and even just interacting with some of them, I mean, you've interacted with more than me, I'm pretty certain, but I just don't see, I'm just not impressed by what I see. I don't feel like these are innovative, forward thinking people. I feel like they toe the party line and they just say whatever is in their party playbook. So like the DA people just say the same DA lines. The Freedom Front Plus people all just say the same Freedom Front lines. And I just feel like every party stuck in the past, like a lot of people say, oh, you must be a Freedom Front supporter because you're on the right. And then I say to them, I'm considering voting for the Freedom Front because in this election, because it's like the best option at the time. But I'm not actually a traditional conservative. So the Freedom Front isn't actually the party for me. So that's like the one area where I think I disagree with you slightly. But yeah, I do overall see what you're saying about there's so many options.
Here's my frustration. Here's my frustration.
Sure.
Parties other than DA and other than Freedom Front Plus and other than, I suppose, IFP are run by an individual. So ACDP is Kenneth. You know,
Yeah.
Action SA is Herman. Patriotic Alliance is Gayton. You know, it's like what I would like in an ideal world is to see 12 people, kind of Prince's extraordinary council of extraordinary people, okay? And have a look and say, that is a hell of a lineup. I don't really care who's president. I want those people as the cabinet. Wow. You know, I agree with you. If you take what's out there, okay, and you took the best of each of the parties and try and assembled a government, okay, even take one or two, the remnants, the capitalist remnants of the ANC, you know, what's going to be left after 2029, there've got to be some good guys. I mean, it makes me sick to say that because I hate the ANC so much, but there must be some good guys in there.
I still understand your point. There are the different factions and schools of
like
thought.
And he's a cool dude and everything. And I think Ramachop is a pretty cool dude. But if you take the best of what's out there and assemble a government, it would be a real mishmash, wouldn't it? Of, you know, you'd have Corné Mulder, you'd have, you know, Michael Beaumont, you'd have.
So you'd basically have another GNU.
Right, but a GNU of the right. Exactly. And, you know, if you look at that, I got AI to do, I think I sent it to you, a left-right analysis of South Africa, where everyone fits. Assuming that, you know, the center and center-right is capitalist or libertarian, rule of law, Judeo-Christian, foreign policy is centrist or aligned to the West, center, West, you know, blah, 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 blah. Where does everyone fall onto that? So the most out of 50, Freedom Front Plus was 45, DA was 44. So very close. Looking at their policies and manifestos. Now, I know you and I both think the DA is too left-wing, correct? You do.
Yeah.
I do. You do. Currently. I mean, I'm
like I always try to be balanced. Like some of the people keep saying DA equals ANC, and I'm like, okay, guys, let's tone
no,
it
that's
down.
ridiculous.
That's not
moronic.
that's going overboard. But yeah.
So I look at.
I'll say too liberal. I'll say liberal, not left. I'll say liberal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you send me actually a very good email. We won't talk about that. The bullet points. That was excellent, by the way. Excellent email. I agree with you. But the Freedom Front Plus and the DA's manifestos are very, very close to one another. Manifestos. It doesn't mean that's what they say or do. And then ACDP is snuggled up against the three of them. Those three, followed by the Patriotic Alliance and IFP, PA being quite a populist version of the center-right, and then BOSA sort of sneaks into that grouping. Those are the kind of center-right group. And if you look at their manifestos, they're not that far apart from each other. I'm telling you, it's a very natural alliance and grouping there. So, I hate it when Jordan picks on Peter Groenewald, who's doing such a good job. And that was stupid. That was handbags at dawn. And then everyone bitches and moans. Yeah. And, you can have your own view on Gate, and I get hammered in the comments on my, support for. I mean, I do like Gate, and I do believe in the PA, and I know at the right time they're one of us. They might be doing a little bit of arse kissy to the ANC, but that's politicking. That's how you get your way up to the election. So there is.
Yeah, I did try explain that to some people, and they weren't very happy with me. I mean, I'm still not happy with a lot of what the PA does, but there's certain things where I say, okay, you've got to get into government in order to be seen. Otherwise, you're going to be the next ACDP. I'm sorry to say. And I like the guys at the ACDP, but yeah, I get what you mean. Sorry, I interrupted you. Continue.
So Prince, there's a role for him, I think, and what he's planning, but he's got a huge hill to climb. And, if you say he's going to announce something next year, he's obviously not competing in the municipals. That makes sense. And then he's got 2.5 years to the nationals, but he's going to have to raise a lot of money. And I think what worries me is raising money is hard because, all of those dumbass people who backed ZB, okay?
Yeah.
How much did he raise? 100 million rand?
I don't even know, but I remember one of the Oppenheimer family gave him 15 million, and I was like, why are you doing this?
One of the Oppenheimers, Rebecca. I mean, just burn that money.
I think you're right.
But a lot of the sort of international kind of, the international South Africans thought, this is the guy, he wrote that book, The Manifesto.
Yeah.
And then what a spent force, what a waste of time that was, burned through. I had dinner with Bantu Holomisa last night. Never met him before. What a cool dude.
Oh, wow.
He's a lekker guy. I liked him very much. And he said, his budget for UDM is 4 million rand. It's nothing. It's like a joke budget. And he still got, I think, 2 seats.
No, relatively speaking, yes.
He got 2 seats. ZB was 75, 100 million rand. He got 2 seats. I mean, which is the better investment?
Wow.
Wow.
No, you're 100% correct on that, Rob. I mean, you can't even compare the two. And it also, you make such a good point, especially on who was backing ZB, right? Because ultimately, a lot of the people just seem to be out of touch with what's on the ground. Because I remember at the time, I wasn't actually even in South Africa at the time when he started his party, but I remember how he was busy talking about, you had a lot of these sort of, I'd call them Santon office people. That's just kind of the way that I talk about them.
I even go more specific and go Hyde Park office people.
Exactly. It's like all these guys. And you just think to yourself, okay, so all the yuppies and, these sorts of, corporate people are saying, oh yeah, he's our guy. But I said before the election, I was like, guys, that's less than 1% of the population. And what did he get? Less than 1% of the votes. Right. So I just had to point that out, that I totally agree with you on that one. So just to sort of sum it up, would you then ultimately say that, look, Prince's party does have a place in politics in South Africa.
It does, without a doubt. There's nothing like it. It's utopian, it's ideal, but the practicality of going from where he is today to forming a political party to run effectively in the Nationals and not be seen as another party splitting the center right. He's got to say, if Prince is going to do this, and I don't really know where he is on this, but if he is going to do it, I like what he's thinking. He needs to say, yes, I'm obviously going to attract some voters from the center right. But my main aim is the disillusioned ANC, the center right of the ANC who've given up, who realize their party's turned into a corrupt, evil mafia machine. And they're either not voting or they're ready to leave the ANC. And they're the ones that say, we don't have an option that we like. He needs to focus on them. And if he can so the ANC was at 40%. If a quarter of those, 10% are the good ANC, makes me sick to say that, but let's assume they are the good ANC. If he can attract them and then take like 2-3% from the center right and end up with 10 to 15%, that's a very valuable option, and I think he is centrist, center right. I think he's naturally that way because he's well read and educated and he can read for meaning. So he's got to be center right. You have to have mental health.
What you're saying.
You have to have mental health issues to be on the left. You have to be stupid or mental.
I don't think you're going to have too many people arguing with you in this comment section.
Not on your show.
Yeah, that is important. No, exactly. Oh. But I do think that's an interesting prospect, because ultimately, if he does what you say and target those people, and let's say he does get that kind of a percentage, that's a game changer. I mean, you could essentially have a coalition excluding EFF and MK as well as the ANC.
Bingo. Exactly right.
Once you're there, then the real work.
And if you do the math, in 2024, we all know this math. ANC plus MK and EFF was 63%,
2% or something. Yeah.
62% still believe in deranged, mad ideology from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, Cold War ideology. And the good guys, the center right, whatever you want to call it, okay, of all the parties that I mentioned, DA, IFP, FF+, Patriotic Alliance, ACDP, blah, blah, Action Say, were 38%. Yeah? That's 2024, roughly, okay?
Roughly, yes.
It's clearly swung further towards the right, the center right. Clearly has. We know it has. So let's say it's at, 55, 45. But if Prince can
which is possible, because SRF polling does have it around that mark. I can't remember exactly, but that range.
So if Prince can then grab the quarter of the ANC, the disillusioned ANC or the non-voters, and move them to the center, you exactly right. You can form a coalition government of center right, Judeo-Christian, capitalist good guys with 51%, and not even bother talking to the ANC or MK and EFF. And that would be a huge win. That's what Prince should be doing, in my view.
Sure, I agree. And I think a lot of those sort of center-right natural people that we're talking about, because they're following the politics and the podcasts and the TV shows and everything, and they are politically informed, they will naturally gravitate towards him without him having to campaign, targeting them. Whereas maybe, so I agree with you, it's better he targets the people you mentioned, because those are the ones who aren't naturally open to these other new options. And then the real work can begin.
And if he says, those are my targets, I think he'll raise a lot of money. I think a lot of guys will say, like Michelle Leroux of Caretaker. It was announced a few days ago that the Leroux, Caretaker related entities put 23 million rand behind the DA. I read that a few days ago. Did you see that?
I never saw that. That's massive money. I had no idea.
To quickly go online and so I haven't messed up, but I read that somewhere in the last few days. So,
wow.
he's known, Michelle Leroux's an awesome guy, I know him really well. and he is known to be a big backer of the DA. But 23 million, and he might then say, well, that's 23 million this year, I'll do another 23 million next year, but I might top up 7 million behind Prince. So I've got my DA strategy, which is what it is, and then my Prince Mashele strategy, which is to grab guys from the ANC who won't go to the DA. That would be smart.
Sure.
So anyway, this is me dreaming. This is me dreaming.
No, but it makes a lot of sense because you're basically hedging your bets, right? And then by having these different people that you back, you kind of hope like, look, I can put a bit of pressure on them in a friendly way that once the election results are available for all to see, you guys get together, form a coalition. So
Exactly
I
right.
get exactly what you're saying, and it does make a lot of sense. But before I ask you the next question, I know you had a few questions for me, and I know you were talking a lot about the 2027 to 2029 period. So do you want to just elaborate on that for us?
So I'll do that, but I first want to mention Patrice Motsepe, if I may, because I keep forgetting to mention this.
Okay.
So Patrice is definitely, and this is true, he is definitely considering coming into the political sphere in South Africa. But by the way, they're 3 PM. So if people say T-shirts are being printed PM, I mean, there's Patrice Motsepe, Paul Mashatile, Prince Mashele. So let's
Prince Mashele, yes.
Yeah. But there's no question Patrice Motsepe is because he's not going to be head of FIFA, which is his dream, but he could well be president of South Africa. And my message, Patrice, please be listening to me right now. My message to you, Patrice, is do not come back and run the ANC. The ANC is corrupt, evil, and finished. Do not do that. That is the wrong move. It's going to destroy your reputation. You have a very good reputation. You were the first African to join Warren Buffett's giving pledge to give a third of your fortune away when you die. Unbelievable. You've got a superb reputation. You're an awesome guy. But the biggest mistake you'll ever make is coming back to run the ANC. They are evil and they will destroy your reputation. Okay. And I'll help do that too, if you do that. Rather come back and set up a new political party, the kind of concept that Prince is talking about, or team up with Prince.
Or join him.
Exactly. And that, Patrice Motsepe, you will have my non-stop support and a lot of other people in this country. That's what you should do. Ditch cousin or brother Cyril and those gangsters of the ANC. Do your own political party. Now, 2027, okay? So firstly, we've got municipals November the 4th. I think it's the same date as the American primaries, by the way. And Trump's going to hold the Senate.
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
Trump's going to hold the Senate. You heard it here first. And Republicans are going to do way better than you think in the House, too. They might lose the House, but it'll be the 8 swing seats. That's it. You heard it here first. But it's the municipals in South Africa. The DA is going to sweep the board. The DA is going to do unbelievably well in the main metros. Helen's going to win Joburg. Retief's going to win Nelson Mandela Bay, and Cilliers is going to win Tshwane, Pretoria. Okay? Big swing to the DA. ANC is going to get mullered across the board. MK is going to do very well in KZN. Okay? Now, my view is if you want secession, let's carve out KZN, hand it to MK and IFP, and just be done with it. Okay? But I mean, that's my personal view. Sorry for my friends in KZN. But that's municipal. So there can be a big swing to the good guys, the center right. Big swing. And this is important to say because it impacts ANC elective conference in 2021. Then the ANC elective conference is in December 2027. Okay?
Okay.
What happens there? Cyril is who, by the way, will not be impeached. The impeachment process is going to continue 100%. But nothing will happen before the municipals because they still have to write the rules for impeachment. They don't have the rule book. So they've appointed the chairman, I think 2 days ago. I didn't even read the name. Never heard of him.
Yeah,
And then
there's
they've
that
got
guy
31
from Rise and Zanzi. I can't remember his name either.
and they've got 31 people, I think a chairperson and 30 people. And then they've got
Yes.
a parallel process, a rules process that has to be in place. So nothing's going to happen on the impeachment process before November the 4th, okay? Kick that ball into the next year. Cyril is already, and I know this for a fact, planning his Stalingrad defense, and nothing will happen next year. It'll continue. He'll be under pressure, but he won't be impeached. He will stand down at the elective conference. He'll survive till then, okay? So December 27th, Cyril stands down. Paul Mashele stands up. He will do a little deal with, the tubby half-brain Fikile and Balula. Fikile will be the number two, and that's me being polite. Paul Mashele, the gangster, will be head of the ANC. Number two will be Fikile and Balula, okay? Now,
Wow.
and that's the story of the ANC. Now what happens? Now we have the most interesting fork in the road. Between 2027 and 2029, what government do we get in South Africa? So I've had some very interesting conversations in the last week on this particular subject with Michael Louis, with Prince Mashele, with Bonte Holomisa, and with about 10 other people. And to synthesize their views, here are the two options. The positive and the negative. The positive is the Michael Louis option. Because nobody has 51, there has to be agreement between political parties on who runs the government. And Michael Louis' view is, will the DA vote for Paul? No. Will Julius vote for Paul? No. Will MK vote for Paul? No. Will ACDB? No. No one will vote for anyone else. Will the ANC vote for Jordan? No. Nobody will agree on anyone else being the head, okay? And therefore, it'll be a caretaker government for 2 years. Like whatever his name was that we've already forgotten. For the second.
Yes, like Moklante.
So they bring in an external guy. It could be Prince Mashele. It could be Bonsai Shongwe. It could be Mokhang.
Okay.
Remember Mokhang? It could be Tuli Madonsela. I'm just throwing names out. Okay, I don't have any insight. These are just pretty good people.
Examples.
And examples. And that gets made the president. Then you have a deputy president that's from independent. That's everyone considers independent. And then all political parties decide on minister. And unfortunately, we won't cut 32 ministries to 18 like I'd like to do. It'll actually stay at 32 so you can put everyone in there. Everyone gets a position. And it's not done by voting.
No, it's going to be another bloated cabinet.
Well, it's for 2 years, but it's not a bad thing for 2 years. You're blowing the money anyway. For 2 years, bloated cabinet, but everyone gets a role and they're all working together. And it's going to have to be centrist and moderate and peaceful. And the world will look at South Africa and go, stability. We will actually attract foreign direct investment on the back of a caretaker government for 2 years. Rosy. It's actually what we want. And that's the good scenario, okay? Michael Louis, I interviewed him yesterday. It's going to come up in the next few days. He'll explain it in a little more science than I've done. But just bear with me. You kind of get the concept.
Okay, but no, of course. Look, you did explain it very well. But now I'm dying to hear the doomsday scenario, as everybody likes to keep calling it. So
the doomsday scenario is the following: is Paul Mashele, Fikile Mbalula. They know the ANC's finished. Because they've seen that the municipals, they got smashed. Most of the municipals have swung, except the Badlands of the Free State and Northern Cape and Northwest Province and Mpumalanga. Everything swung center right. And they know what's coming. They've got 2 years left to break and steal this country. 2 years left. It's going out of sale. Loot and steal as quickly as you can. And all of their minions, their followers, are saying, We didn't steal enough. We need to steal more. We've only got 2 years left. Okay. This is human nature, those guys. So what do? Paul's quite close to Julius. Picks up the phone. Julius, you've got 7-8%. We've got 40%. Let's make peace. Come on board and steal. And Julius has been, criminal charge, criminal conviction. His deranged guys have, no way to steal anymore because they come on board. They join the government with the ANC. Then he goes to MK, and this is 2 years' time if Zuma is still alive, and they bring MK on board. And you have a dying ANC with a dying EFF and a complete deranged MK in government for 2 years. Foreign direct investment not only disappears, it escapes South Africa. The currency drops. We're 20 to 25 to the dollar. Every 18 to 25-year-old leaves the country. All the people who were planning to come back don't come back. Semigration explodes. I mean, you won't even find a Karoo town with a house to sell. It's an absolute nightmare. It's a doomsday scenario, proper doomsday. And expropriation without compensation gets implemented. Civil unrest. This is the doomsday scenario. So we got a caretaker government, which is utopian and ideal, and the doomsday scenario. And never the twain shall meet, and there is no middle road. It's one or the other.
Wow. So, okay, well, I'm a little bit lost for words. This is really intriguing stuff. But I guess the first question I have is sort of, I guess, the elephant in the room, which is, are you basically saying that the GNU will collapse? Or is this what these guys are telling you, that, listen, this GNU 2027, it's gone?
Look, the broader population of South Africa, the majority like the GNU. Okay? They do. They see it as everyone working together. The caretaker government is really everyone working together. It's a much more advanced, it's an advanced evolution of the GNU. Okay? A better version of the GNU. In the doomsday scenario, the GNU is gone. The GNU becomes ANC, MK, and EFF. And a lot of people say to me, they can't work together. There's no way they can work together because the EFF and MK will eat ANC alive, which they will. But Paul Mashele and Fikile Mbalula want their moment in the sun. And this is the only way they can do it. And they will.
Sure. And this might sound like a little bit of a weird question, because obviously one scenario sounds like the dream scenario and the other one's doomsday. Although in a way, I think doomsday could be good in the long term. But before I jump in, I actually want to ask you, Rob, if you had to really think, beneath the surface, peel back the layers, which option would you actually prefer?
Well, obviously the caretaker government, without a doubt. I mean, it has to be, I don't want to, look, it's easy for me. Viewers will say, well, Rob, it's easy for you. You're rich and, money offshore and blah, blah, blah. True. I could say what Willem Petzer has said to me once is, let's stop this slow puncture. Let's face the evil up front and deal with it. Let's have the collapse and the phoenix arise from the ashes. It's easy for me to say that because I can survive the collapse. Most people in South Africa can't. So we've got to go the good route. We have to make that happen. We have to. And I just want to add one more dimension to the thinking. Remember, we've had, my opinion, big success in the municipal elections, November the 4th, 2026. Big swing to the center right, to the DA and all the good guys. The main metros are now not run by the ANC, MK or EFF anymore. Okay? Other than KZN. So even if the national goes Paul Mashele, Fikile, MK, EFF, national, on the ground, municipally, is the other way. How does that dynamic work? what does the average voter think?
Interesting.
Yeah, what does he have? How does that dynamic work? You've got the budgets down here that are being protected from looting and stealing in the ANC. The budgets up here that is just mass looting. What a dichotomy. I don't know how that works. I mean, the only reason I am able to say what I say is I speak to so many people and I synthesize their views. This is not you know the stats, you know the facts, you do your excellent reporting on what's happening in the elections. I just synthesize other people's view and come up with an opinion. I don't have the answers, but you've got to take a view.